Welcome to Light of Twin Flames. If this video found you today, know that it's not by accident. The universe always brings us what we need, exactly when we need it. So stay with me until the end. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this video with another soul who's seeking clarity on their spiritual path. Have you ever felt a connection so intense, so undeniable, that it seemed to transcend time and space itself? And yet, even with all that intensity, it fell into complete silence. You're not alone. This experience is more common than you think on the twin flame journey. But why? Why can something so sacred, so deeply felt, suddenly dissolve into distance and silence? Does it mean the connection is over, or is it part of something much greater? In this video, I'll reveal the spiritual truths behind this difficult separation. We'll explore what's really happening behind the scenes of this divine connection, so that you can finally find the peace and understanding your soul has been craving. Because I truly know how deeply this journey can shake you. It's like meeting a missing piece of your own soul, a person you recognize instantly, perhaps from another lifetime. This connection isn't ordinary, it's transformational, it's powerful, but it's also one of the most challenging paths your soul will ever walk. Many people believe that finding your twin flame means living a perfect love story, a spiritual fairy tale with a guaranteed happy ending. But the truth is something else entirely. And today we're diving deep into that truth. Raw, real, and sometimes painfully beautiful. Stay with me until the end. Because maybe the answers you've been searching for are right here, in this exact moment. The twin flame connection is not what you've been told. It doesn't come into your life just to make you feel loved. It arrives with a divine mission to awaken your soul, to accelerate your spiritual growth, and to heal your deepest emotional wounds. And that's why this journey is often marked by pain, by challenges, and by moments of complete separation. And when that separation happens, it's impossible not to wonder, why did my twin flame just stop reaching out? Did our connection end? Did I do something wrong? Do they feel the same way I do? If these questions echo in your heart, take a deep breath, because in this video we're going to explore them, all of them. You're going to discover the true meaning behind the silence and learn how to face this part of the journey with strength, clarity, and conscious love. Very few people have the courage to say this out loud. But here's the truth. The twin flame journey is not a straight line. It's a spiral, a dance of union and separation, of breaking down and becoming whole again, because it's in this sacred push and pull that you meet your true self. Unlike ordinary relationships, that tend to unfold in a predictable, linear way. The twin flame journey is anything but predictable. It's a dance of extremes, of beautiful synchronicities, followed by deep, soul-shaking silences. If you're going through a period of separation right now, know this: it's not happening without purpose. Every phase of the twin flame connection is divinely orchestrated. Every moment, even the painful ones, is part of a greater plan, crafted by the universe for your soul's evolution. Understanding. These phases can bring peace, clarity, and a sense of inner calm in the middle of emotional chaos. It all usually begins with something powerful, a magnetic, unforgettable encounter, a soul recognition that goes beyond time, logic, or past experience. It feels like magic, like destiny. In that moment, you just know you've met someone who will change your life forever. This phase is full of lightness, joy, and a sense that the entire universe is conspiring to bring you together. But remember, this is only the beginning. As the connection deepens, so do the challenges. Why? Because this bond isn't here just to bring comfort. The mission of twin flames is to ignite transformation, to expose the shadows, to heal ancient wounds, and to awaken the parts of you that you've forgotten or hidden. The connection is powerful, but it's not always easy, because true spiritual growth is never easy, and this is where the real work begins. This is the phase where emotional triggers start rising to the surface, old insecurities, hidden fears, abandonment wounds you didn't even know were still there, because your twin flame isn't just here to love you. They're here to mirror you, to reflect back everything inside you that still needs healing, and that mirror can be intense. At this point in the journey, it's common for one person to begin pulling away, sometimes without explanation, sometimes without warning. This is what many call the separation phase. It can be physical distance, emotional disconnection, or even complete silence. And yes, it hurts, because you don't just miss someone. You feel like you've lost a part of your soul. And yet, that deep, magical connection from the beginning suddenly feels out of reach. It's in this place of confusion that the most painful questions start to rise. Is it over? Will they come back? Why did everything change so suddenly? If you've asked these questions, know that you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're simply human, navigating a spiritual connection that goes far beyond logic. And today, we're going to talk about these doubts, the real, raw human questions that haunt so many twin flames. Because here's the good news. That painful separation is not the end. It's not a punishment. It's a sacred part of your journey, and it carries a divine purpose, one that's deeply tied to your soul's healing and your evolution. But before we uncover the true purpose behind this silence, we need to understand why it happens and what it's really trying to teach us. I know it can feel confusing, unfair, even cruel. How can something so powerful, so real, just vanish without explanation? Where did all that energy go? All that magic? Do they feel this same ache in their soul? Did it all just end? Take a deep breath with me, beautiful soul. Before you jump to painful conclusions, there's something essential you need to understand. The twin flame connection is not an ordinary relationship. It's not a fairy tale love story. It's a sacred spiritual journey, a path filled with stages, each one with its own lesson, its own purpose, its own alchemy. And the first stage is that unforgettable meeting, that moment when your world shifts and something deep inside says, I know you. Everything flows effortlessly. The connection feels effortless and magical, and somehow they see every part of your soul, even the parts you've kept hidden from the world, even though you've just met. It feels like you've known each other for lifetimes. But don't forget, this is only the first phase, the beginning of a much deeper, much more profound journey of spiritual awakening and soul healing. That first stage is pure magic. The connection feels destined, fated. But then comes the part that almost no one is prepared for. The inner challenges begin to rise. Fast, fierce, because unlike ordinary love stories, twin flames share a sacred mission to evolve together. And evolution, dear soul, is not always gentle. In fact, it's often wrapped in pain. At this stage, your deepest shadows begin to emerge. Old wounds surface, buried fears come alive. Insecurities you thought you had outgrown suddenly take center stage. Have you noticed how this person, this connection, can trigger emotional reactions in you that you never even knew were there? That's not an accident. That's the mirror effect. the spiritual phenomenon where twin flames reflect each other's unhealed pain. And this is when we arrive at the hardest part of the journey, the separation phase. So often, it's the divine masculine who begins to withdraw. The intensity of the connection becomes overwhelming. The emotions rise too fast, too strong, too unfamiliar, and not knowing how to deal with all of it. He does what he knows. He runs. He shuts down. He pulls away. But please, never forget this. Separation does not mean the end. In truth, it's a sacred invitation, a calling for deep healing and powerful spiritual growth for both of you. And then he simply disappears. No response, no explanation, just silence. That's when your heart begins to collapse. Panic sets in. Confusion takes over. You start asking yourself, how can someone change so suddenly? What did I do wrong? And I'll tell you now, with all the love in my soul, it's not about you. This rupture, as unbearable as it feels, is a turning point on your soul's path. Separation happens because something within each of you needs healing. And now we arrive at the question that so many people whisper in the quiet of their own pain. Why does this happen? What could possibly cause two souls so deeply in love to stop speaking? If you've made it this far in the video, you already know this connection is unlike anything else. It moves in waves, waves of expansion and retreat, of divine union and necessary separation. And one of the most intense, most sacred phases of this entire journey is exactly this, the silence. When it hits, the mind spirals, the heart screams. The questions become endless, the feelings collide, everything loses meaning. But now, take a breath with me, slow, deep. Because what's coming next might just bring you the peace you've been looking for. This silence has a purpose. Separation is not the end. It's a sacred pause, an internal reset, a divine realignment. It's the universe saying, now, it's time to go within. Most of the time. This silence is not rejection. It's not indifference. It's the soul whispering, I need to find myself before I can find you again. Why does separation happen? The reasons no one talks about. There are deeper truths behind this silence, truths that many avoid. But today, we're going to face them with clarity, with consciousness, and with love. The connection awakens old wounds. When twin flames meet, something powerful is activated. It's not just passion, it's a mirror. And that mirror reflects every hidden layer of your being. Old fears, buried insecurities, childhood traumas, unhealed pain, repeating patterns. What starts as a breathtaking love quickly becomes an emotional earthquake, and the one who isn't ready to face all that depth runs, usually. It's the divine masculine, not because he doesn't feel, but because he feels so deeply. He has no idea how to handle the emotional storm that your presence triggers in him. So it's not lack of love. It's the intensity of love that becomes too much to carry. The journey requires individual growth. As much as your heart aches to stay close, your soul knows the truth. Not all growth happens together, in many cases. Separation is a sacred pause so that each person can turn inward, face their shadows, and heal what only they can heal. It's a time for spiritual refinement, a period of soul excavation. Because your twin flame isn't here to complete you. They're here to help you remember who you already are. And sometimes, that reconnection with your true essence can only happen through silence and solitude. energetic imbalance. Separation isn't always about lack of love. Sometimes it's about too much giving from one side, too much pulling away from the other. When the energetic exchange between twin flames becomes unbalanced, the universe steps in. It disrupts the flow to restore the harmony. If one is overgiving, chasing, clinging, trying to force the connection, while the other retreats, avoids, or disappears, there's a collapse. And that collapse is not a punishment, it's a cosmic correction, a divine reset. It's the universe saying, love them, but don't abandon yourself in the process. Because learning to love someone without losing yourself is one of the most sacred lessons of the twin flame journey. Thanks D4. The fear of surrender. The depth of a twin flame connection cannot be compared to any ordinary relationship. It's spiritual, visceral, cosmic, and because of that, it terrifies the ego. The ego fears the surrender. True love demands. It doesn't want to lose control. It doesn't want to dissolve. So often the soul says, I recognize you, but I'm not ready for what this requires. And the result? Silence, distance. But behind that silence is a trembling heart. A heart that feels, that remembers, that hides, but cannot forget. Now that you've come to understand the deeper reasons behind separation, it's time to explore one of the hardest parts of the journey, the silence. Silence. It doesn't just hurt your ears, it echoes in your soul when your twin flame disappears. Stops responding, vanishes like it was all a dream. It feels like the ground is falling beneath your feet. And then, the mind spirals. Did he forget about me? Was it all just in my head? How could someone see me so deeply and then turn away without a word? But breathe and listen with your heart, because in this journey, silence is rarely absence. Most of the time, silence is a portal, an invitation, a sacred pause meant to birth something far greater. Many times your twin flame doesn't walk away because they stopped feeling. They walk away because their soul is being called inward, to face what still needs healing, to awaken what still sleeps, to dive into their own darkness, so they can rise in light. Silence is the dark night before the dawn. It may feel like abandonment, but it is often the beginning of a deep spiritual transformation. So the next time silence comes, don't see it only as emptiness. See it as sacred ground, the space where union is quietly, invisibly, beginning to bloom. When a twin flame pulls away, it's not just the body that retreats, it's the soul diving into an ocean of introspection. And that dive, often wordless and invisible, is necessary because a twin flame connection is not light. It's not casual. It awakens pieces of the soul that have been asleep for lifetimes. This bond stirs memories and traumas, fears, and desires that were buried deep within, and when all of that rises to the surface, the mind collapses under the weight of it. That's why, for many, silence becomes the only way to breathe. This separation, as painful as it is often the reflection of an inner war, a soul trying to make sense of the chaos this sacred connection brought to the surface. And here's something almost no one says out loud. Even when silence reigns, the connection remains. It still breathes, it still pulses, it still vibrates. In the quiet signs, in the dreams, in the synchronicities, in the things that seem like coincidences, but aren't. Have you ever felt him thinking about you in the middle of the night? Have you ever sensed a presence, even when you were completely alone? Have you ever heard that one song and felt like it was a direct message from him? That's not your imagination. That's the energy of the connection, still moving, still alive, even at a distance. Because the twin flame bond doesn't follow human rules. It goes beyond touch, beyond words. It transcends time and space. So if you're feeling it, it's because it still exists, even if he's silent, even if he feels far away. The invisible thread between you is still there. But now comes the question that haunts so many hearts. How do I survive the silence without getting lost in it? How do I move forward without falling into illusions, but also without closing my heart to something I know is still alive? This is the hardest part of the journey. To live with the absence without killing the hope, because when the divine masculine pulls away, it's not just the external silence that hurts, it's the internal noise he leaves behind. The unanswered questions, the unfinished dreams, the echo of what was. And this pain, it doesn't just touch your emotions. It touches your body, your energy, your soul. Maybe you're feeling that right now. A sadness that won't go away, a longing that screams, a deep exhaustion with no clear reason. Insomnia, anxiety, a hollow feeling that no one else can fill. And yes, there's a reason for all of it. This connection is not just romantic, it's spiritual. It reaches such deep layers of your being that when separation comes, it feels like something inside of you has been ripped away. Twin flame separation isn't just the absence of presence, it's a break in the energetic flow, and you feel it so deeply. But here's the sacred truth. As cruel as this silence may seem, it is also holy. He's not pulling away to punish you. He's pulling away to show you where it still hurts, to show you what still needs healing. It's in this silence that the soul finally begins to listen. It's in his absence that you can finally come back to yourself. Because the twin flame journey was never just about them returning. It's about you returning to you. So if everything feels still right now, maybe it's because it's time for you to move in on the inside, with love, with courage, with truth. This connection shakes your frequency like nothing else. It shifts your vibration. It touches your energetic field. It turns your world inside out. But before you label this silence as punishment, pause, breathe, feel, because it's not a punishment, it's an invitation, a sacred calling to go within. Instead of pouring your energy into decoding what the other is doing, saying, or feeling, ask yourself, what is this pain trying to show me? What part of me is still asking to be healed? Why does this absence shake me so deeply? This is the moment when the twin flame journey reveals its true face, because it was never about conquering the other. It was always about transforming yourself. Pause many times. Separation feels like the end. Pause, but spiritually, it's not the end. Breath, it's a sacred pause, a necessary break, so the reunion can happen for real, not out of fear, not from longing or emotional dependency, but from truth. And the most mysterious part, even with no contact, you can still feel them, in dreams, in signs, in songs that randomly start playing, in repeating numbers that show up like whispers from the universe saying, he's still here. The connection is still alive. That subtle presence is a reminder you are not alone. So, how do you transform this pain into power? How do you turn silence into a portal of growth? The first step is this. Recognize that this pain has value. It's shaping you, calling you back home, to yourself. In the fertile soil of absence, the soul grows the deepest roots. Use this time to rediscover yourself, to nourish your heart, to strengthen your spirit, because true union with your twin flame can only manifest after union with your own soul happens first. And let this sink in deeply. You are not lost. You are being guided. And this, right here, is where the shift begins. Now that you understand the emotional and spiritual impact of separation, it's time to turn your gaze towards something even more powerful, your own growth. When your twin flame pulls away, it's common for the mind to collapse. You start searching for answers in every corner. You replay old messages for hours. You look for signs in oracle cards, in dreams, in social media posts, waiting for a notification that never comes. But what if you made a different move? What if, instead of directing your energy outward, you brought it back to yourself? What if this separation wasn't a rejection, but a sacred invitation from your soul, a silent calling to come back home, to your inner home? Because that's where this journey truly begins. That's where it continues. That's where it heals. This pause in your connection could actually be the beginning of a reconnection with parts of yourself and that you forgot. Maybe for the first time, you'll ask yourself with honesty, what did this connection awaken in me? What wounds surfaced when he left? What still hurts, and why? These questions aren't easy, but they are precious because healing doesn't begin with answers. It begins with truthful reflection, with the courage to look at yourself without filters, without judgment, and self-discovery doesn't have to be a lonely path. There are many ways to access it, through meditation, intuitive writing, connecting with nature, energy healing practices, or even through the deep silence that listens to what the mind can't explain. This phase is not passive waiting, it's active preparation. The more you know yourself, the more whole you become, and the more whole you are, the more the energy between you two begins to rebalance, even if he hasn't returned yet. Because the twin flame journey begins with the meeting but only truly blooms through individual transformation. Some people feel a deep calling to begin energy therapies, Reiki access bars, chakra alignments. Others dive into meditation, intuitive journaling, ecstatic dance, art, or rewriting old habits and patterns that no longer fit who they are becoming. There's no one path. What matters is that you walk it. And more than anything, understand. This moment is not a punishment. It is a gift in disguise, a sacred invitation, dressed as pain, a silent space where your soul is being asked to bloom. Growth hurts, but staying stuck, it hurts even more, you know. And there's something very special your soul needs to hear right now. The more you rise, the more your connection begins to realign, not through force, not through control, not through desperation, but through resonance. Because when your energy shifts, the entire dynamic begins to adjust. Sometimes separation happens because something within the connection was out of sync. One was giving more than the other could receive. One was searching, while the other was hiding. One wanted answers, and the other didn't even know what the questions were. The silence didn't come to destroy when it came to restore. And when you begin to bloom within yourself, when your inner light turns on, your frequency expands, your vibration shifts, and that energy reaches them, even from afar, even in the invisible, because a twin flame connection is never lost. It simply transforms so it can evolve. And the most powerful way to bring that connection back into harmony is by reconnecting with yourself. When you begin to heal, when you place yourself at the center of your own life, something magical starts to unfold. The bond between you starts to shift as well. It's as if the soul recognizes that you are finally choosing yourself. And in that sacred moment, everything begins to realign energetically, silently, powerfully. But then comes the question we all ask. What can I do right now, in this pain, to turn this into a moment of rebirth? The answer is simple and infinite. Reconnect with your essence. Return inward. Seek the peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. Create an altar inside yourself. Because a twin flame connection was never meant to be an emotional prison. It is, and always has been, a call to inner freedom. When you heal the path. When you choose yourself, you realign the journey. And from that place of wholeness, the love that once felt, brokenness begins to flow again, but this time's in truth, in balance, in divine timing. And now perhaps the deepest question that lives quietly inside the heart of anyone walking this path. Is there a real chance of reunion after so much pain, silence, and distance? The answer is yes, there is. There truly is a chance for reunion. But not a reunion born from longing or desperation. Not one forced by fear or emotional need. It's a reunion that happens when both souls are ready, not in the timing of the ego, but in the timing of the soul. And the timing of the soul, that one never fails. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore how reunion really unfolds, what it truly means, and most importantly, how you can prepare for it by living your present moment with wholeness, truth, and self-love. But before you let your heart overflow with hope, let's root it in spiritual maturity, because twin flame reunion doesn't happen just because you want it. It doesn't come through pressure or waiting for them to finally awaken. This sacred return, as divine as it is not guided by urgency. It's not driven by emotional hunger. It's deeply connected to the inner evolution of each soul. True reunion is not born from expectation, but from the silent, sacred work each of you is doing within. It's in the separation, in this sacred desert, that both flames are called to dive into their own healing, to rediscover their individual purpose, to transform pain into wisdom, and when both souls, in their own time, walk this path of healing and expansion authentically and consciously, that's when the magic of reunion truly begins. But don't be mistaken. This reunion is not a simple return to how things used to be. It's a new cycle, a rebirth. It's not love that clings, demands, or controls. It's love that sets you free. This reunion goes far beyond touch, beyond a glance, beyond a text message on your phone. It's an energetic reunion where two souls finally begin to dance on the same frequency. And when that happens, it's not magic. It's alignment. The vibrations harmonize. The hearts listen to each other without noise, and the connection can finally bloom in a deeper way, a more conscious way, a more truthful way. But here's the key. No one tells you. Don't expect perfection, even after all the time. All the silence, all the pain. The wounds might still be there. There may still be fears, scars, moments of doubt. But now, something has shifted. Both are stronger, wiser, awake, each carrying not just stories, but lessons, transformations, healing. And if this reunion finds you, don't step into it with idealized dreams. Step into it with presence, with openness, with the willingness to listen, to feel, to allow it to be real. Because the love between twin flames was never meant to complete you. It was meant to expand you, to teach you, to set you free. The reunion with your twin flame doesn't come as a magical fix for every wound. It doesn't erase the past. It doesn't make the pain disappear. But it offers something even more powerful, a new chance. To walk side by side with more truth, more balance, and a heart that's finally awake. This reconnection is not about idealization. It's about purpose. It's about building something rooted in the soul, not just in fleeting emotions. Something that honors the other's time, the other's story, and most of all, the spiritual growth this connection is asking for. So, how do you know when reunion is getting closer? Is there a silent signal? Some subtle hint that your souls are meeting again on the energetic plane? Yes, there are signs, but they don't shout, they whisper. They are soft movements of the soul. Inner shifts, recurring dreams, synchronicities, a sudden sense of peace. They are signs that something is gently falling into place, that the wounds don't hurt quite the same, that the longing, while still present, no longer bleeds. It simply reminds. In the next chapter, I'll share with you those signs, the ones that quietly reveal that reunion is no longer just a fantasy, but a sacred invitation from the universe, a whisper, a message delivered in silence. Because when the universe wants to speak to you, it doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers come as signs. They usually begin quietly, almost imperceptibly. Repeating number that keeps showing up. A song that plays right as you're thinking of them. Or that strange, unshakable feeling that something is a bow